even if you think you don't want problems in your life, you really do. Welcome to the Connect Method Parenting Podcast, where correction is out, connection is in, and your kids want to listen to you. I'm Andy Martineau, creator of Connect Method Parenting, here to help you stay calm, confident, and connected no matter what. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the podcast. Today, we're talking about problems. I know, you're so excited. And the day I'm recording this couldn't be a better day because my brain wants to say it has been a day riddled with problems. I had this whole list of things I was going to get done today. I don't think any of them, other than I did go to Pilates, none of the other ones have been things I've wanted to do, the things I've done today. It's all been full of problems. And of course, this is the day that I record the podcast. I actually just got back from delivering my daughter food because she's at a dance rehearsal tonight for school and she didn't get lunch. She was starving. And my brain, when she texted me and said, "Can you please bring me food? I'm starving. I'm going to be here for 4 more hours." My brain thought, I don't have time for this. This is a big problem. And then I thought, no, I'm choosing my problems. We're going to unpack this, why this is so powerful for me. It has been a fantastic day and a great day for me to apply what I'm teaching you all today. Because over the last 12 months, since we got back from our trip, I mean, it bled into the trip. If you've been following the podcast for a while, you know, last year at this time, I was probably in Egypt. We did a 6-month trip. It was amazing. And my brain wanted to come up with lots of problems on that trip, lots of dangers. So it really kicked up this exploration of problems back then. And in this last I'm going to say 18 months, I feel like I've had a master course in problems. The ones that pile up so high, your brain is like, cool, okay, there's absolutely no way you can handle this. And I have learned so much, literally so much. And I want to share it with you all today, what I've learned, because I feel like I'm through it, through the thick of it. I'm not in the middle of it. I want to talk about where I am now, where I was 6 months ago, 12 months ago. So today we're going to get really real about where I've been, where I am now, and where I'm going. I think it's very important to have this conversation with you all today. It is so relevant to being the best human and, of course, the best parent. A lot of the stuff I'm sharing, I've worked through, like I said, and I'm going to share that whole process with you. And because it's something that's still fairly fresh in my mind, you're going to really feel it. You're going to sense that in me too as I retell some of this stuff, because I'm not talking about something that's happened 20 years ago. I'm talking about something that might have happened 20 days ago or 6 months ago. So in a way, I'm on the other end of the process, but I'm also in the process of up-leveling my entire life in a way that feels incredible. I love my life. I love the life I have created in the past. I love the life I'm living right now. I love the life I'm right now in this moment creating that will come to fruition in the future. In a lot of ways, I feel like so much has shifted with me in the last year that I'm not even the same human I was then, which is always my goal. I always want to say I want to be unrecognizable in the best possible way in a year. That has been accomplished. And next year, I hope the same thing. So I want to share all of this with you today, what I've learned from problems, what I'm still learning from problems, what I'm so excited about in the future when new problems come up. So let's dive into an entire episode all about problems, because even if you think you don't want problems in your life, you really do. You really do. Let me give you a snapshot of what's going on right now. Just a little snapshot. This is a very abbreviated snapshot. So my husband sold his business a year ago in November, which is why I think this is the perfect month to do it. I know we're December technically, but I was really dropping into the experience of what life was like last November. We were in Rome when it happened. And I still remember my husband flew back to Arizona to do some stuff, and it wrapped up, and it was both the best news and completely dysregulating. It was so big, so huge. We knew it was coming and totally threw me off. I think it's taken us 12 months to figure out who we are without his business. We were sitting with some friends this summer, so it's been a little while. And I was sharing with this friend of mine, with Sarah. If you're listening, I love you. I love your guts. So I was sharing with Sarah, like, I think Scott's really trying to find his identity without this business. And she's like, do you think maybe you're trying to find your identity without the business? Which I had never considered before. And I realized I was. Even though I wasn't in the business, I hadn't been the one that actually started the business, it had become so much a part of my life that it had become part of my identity, a very big part of my identity. And so we have both been trying to figure out who we are without this business that we've had for 20 plus years. We're starting a new business, of course. What is that? Serial entrepreneurship. It's so exciting. And I'll share more with you as we create it. It's just really fun. I'm really excited about what's happening in the second phase of our life. It's like we went into semi-retirement for a few months, and then it's like my husband was like, I can't do this. I've got to keep doing something. So that's really exciting. I'm personally trying to figure out what to do with Connect Method parenting. It feels like a big shakeup is coming, and I get emotional about that, but I'm also very excited about what's going to happen. I have inklings. I haven't finalized that, but if you're in the program, there's going to be some new things, some things that are going to go away, some things that are going to change. I'm really thrilled with how that's all unfolding. That has been really revealing to see where I was attached to things, what I was making things mean. So that's coming up. So that's been part of this big problem. It was a problem that I wanted to shake things up. So that's exciting. I've done lots of reflections and meditations on what that part of my life, which is this part too. You're listening to this podcast because we're talking about parenting, and it has been and continues to be such a enormous part of my purpose. And as time goes by, we also have to figure out how that evolves too. So that's fun and crazy. I'm both super excited and totally uncomfortable all at once. So I'm in so much transition. And then to go through some of my kids, Cooper, who's my 21-year-old, is still working through some stuff that came up when he was living abroad in Chile. He had some OCD stuff happen that he had never had in his life before. And so now that he's back home, he's dating the most amazing girl, which we love, and he's going to university, and we're trying to figure out how to help him with some of the things that he's working through as it relates to OCD and that kind of stuff. So we are looking into EMDR. He hasn't done that. IFS, ketamine, maybe. I don't know. We're exploring all of the options. If you know anything and you're listening to this and you have some great advice, please send me an email. I would love it. And then Hiram, my 20-year-old, who just got back from Chile in October. So Cooper got back in March and Hiram got back in October. So he's been home a couple of months. He has started EMT training. He's going on multiple dates with girls every week. He has taken incredible ownership of his life. It's so fun to see him. And Cooper's doing fantastic. All my kids are doing fantastic. They're just busy. And I'm remembering what it was like when I was in my 20s and I was trying to figure out what I was going to do with my life. It feels like I'm doing that again. I'm 40 and I'm like, okay, what am I going to do with my life? Who am I? But I digress. So Megan is in her final year at university. She's going to be graduating with art history. She's got a bazillion huge, gigantic papers about deep and complicated things like Mayan art and how music, art, and architecture all impact each other through the ages. It's so fun to hear her talk about it. Brea, who's my 18-year-old, is running a super successful nail business and is going to go on a crazy adventure. So that's coming up soon and going to shift my life a ton. And then Becca, my youngest, who is in her last year of high school, just finished being in an awesome play. She's the one I just ran lunch to She tried out for the next play. She's in student council, social light, and just doing fantastic. Jerem's in Oregon, married, having the time of his life. Winter has started. There is snow on the ground. We just got our tires switched to winter tires yesterday because I am a little nervous driving in winter. Growing up in Phoenix, I have no real long-term experience with winter driving except for the couple years we've been here in the canyon. And so I'm still getting okay with that. And then we have some parents, some of them are getting older. Scott's dad specifically has had some health things come up that make me really think about him a lot. And it's just Christmas is coming, all of these things. The reason I'm going through this list is not because you need to know all these things about my life, but because just like you, I have stuff coming up and I'm not mentioning all of it, mentioning the ones that I feel like are good to share, comfortable to share, but there's multiple layers to this. And everything from big stuff with kiddos and marriage stuff that is going fantastic, but also takes effort and work, to little things like I've got to order the Christmas pajamas because we are doing that this year and I got to get those ordered or they're not going to get here in time. And then perimenopause, if we want to talk about something totally different, health is in full swing. And my friends keep telling me I need to start hormone replacement. And I'm like, what? I don't know if I'm ready for that. And then because of all of this, when I get really disoriented by my problems, sometimes I go into mad reorganization and purging in my house. I always do this before winter, so it's probably partially that because I want my home to be ready for when we're shut up in it a little bit more. But that's just a sampling of my brain full of things that are like problem. You're about to be a person who is 50. I'm going to be 49 this year, but I'm already going to 50, 49 next year, I guess. You're going to have all of your kids graduated. Winter's coming, problem. It's just so many problems. And when I look at that list and I think, okay, that's just the very beginning of my brain dump if I were to write down all the problems and I'm not being conscious about it, my brain will go to, these are problems that you cannot handle. This is too much. Something has gone wrong. And if you're in a season where the problems feel like they're stacking up faster than you can catch your breath, I want you to know you're not alone. I have been there too. I sometimes get to that place. If I don't remember this way I'm going to talk about problems today, this choice in the problems I'm choosing to have, leaning into my problems, seeing them as something that is a productive problem versus a non-productive problem. So we're going to go into all of that. But I have to be onto my brain. Otherwise, my brain goes into too much, shut down, give up. And I have to stay on to myself. So I'm so glad for the work I've done and the way that problems have changed for me. I have done a lot of work to look at problems differently. It has changed my life. And today I want to share what I've done and how I'm learning to see all of my problems so differently. And I'm just going to say, it's not by pretending that the problems aren't hard. It's not by emotionally bypassing and calling everything good when it feels awful or overwhelming. It's been a journey of upgrading the way I define and relate to my problems. And I've been sharing this with a lot of the parents I work with for the last 6 months, as I've been at a place where I'm sharing my process with my approach and ideas around problems. And I am so excited to share it with you all. I have decided that it's worth dedicating a whole episode to it. Now, this is especially for you parents I work with. You know what I'm talking about. You've heard me talk about it. And so this is going to take you to the next level. And if you aren't working with me, this is still going to be so beneficial. So here is the first big idea that hit me in this 18-month journey. My brain, all brains, are designed to find problems. It's not some glitch. It's not a malfunction in the system. It doesn't mean anything has gone wrong. In fact, it means everything is going right because it's a really important feature we have as humans. It's a survival mechanism. The brain scans for what's wrong or what might go wrong or what could go wrong, and then it tries to fix it or avoid it. So when I look at my life through my unconscious classic problem paradigm, I see failures and missteps. I see people leaving or struggling, messing up. I see health questions. I see a little roll around my belly that I don't like. I see all the imperfections of my face. One of my eyes is smaller than the other eye. I focus on that. I focus on my hair being too thin or all the gray hair that I have. Aging parents that I love so much. I focus on snow and winter driving conditions that scare me. Of course, my brain wants to stamp a giant red problem label on all of those things. It thinks I don't want these things. It thinks these things shouldn't be happening. Does your brain do this? If not, this is probably not the episode for you, but I have found that everyone I have spoken to has the tendency to make the problems into something that they don't want to happen, that they think shouldn't be happening. Like their brain is screaming to them, hey, it's a problem when my kids aren't listening, when my kids are fighting, when my teenagers have big emotions, when my partner doesn't like what I'm doing or they don't respond the way I'd like them to respond, or the money doesn't feel like there's enough of it, or there's never-ending dishes in the sink, or there's a job that I have to do that I don't want to do. And it's like, problem, this shouldn't be happening. I should only have things in my life that are wonderful and beautiful. And if that's you, this episode is going to be epic. You're going to love this episode because it's good news. All those things your brain is doing, it's good news. It's your brain working. Your brain is doing what it thinks it's supposed to do. And to a degree, we still need part of that problem-seeking tendency of our brains. Maybe just needed to be upgraded a little bit, which is what we're going to talk about today. But historically speaking, we needed to be looking for problems and dangers so we would stay alive. We don't live in a world where tigers are going to hunt us or weather is going to be a problem for us. It's not going to be life-threatening most of the time. But a lot of our brains are really committed to trying to get us to see the problems in a negative light, especially when something really changes. That change that happened with what my husband was doing, which by the way, he is so happy about what he's doing now for work. He is loving it so much more than what he's been doing for a while. He's so happy. But a year ago, when it all started happening and it looked like, oh my gosh, we're going to sell, my brain went to scarcity. I had this fear that I couldn't even explain, of fear around, well, what are we going to do? Who am I without this business? So much grief of letting something go, even though it was a good thing. Similar to when our kids go to the next step in their progression, whether it's them going to school all day or learning to drive or going off to college. There's part of us that knows that that's a great thing that's happening. And our brains are so happy for it. But it is a problem for us because now we're lonely and we don't get to drive them as much if they now have their license, or we don't get to see them as much if they're in university. It's us understanding that, yes, that is true. And there is something more here for me. Yes, I feel scarcity, but there's also so much abundance and beauty and growth and love. But a year ago, I could only see scarcity for the most part. And I saw the lack and the grief and the identity shifting from something we'd been building together for 20 years. And a few weeks ago, we were talking about what had happened last year and all the things that have happened between now and then. And we were reflecting on how much has changed and how I was so afraid last year. I look back with so much compassion for myself. I can see the suffering I felt because of my fear that I had because I was looking at things through a different lens, which I totally honor. And I can see how I needed to hold on to that. I needed to feel that in that moment. Nothing had gone wrong, but I was seeing this as a big, terrible problem that was negative. But I also see how I could have processed and released it and trusted in that moment instead. If I had been ready, if I had had the capacity to see the problem the way I see problems now. It threw me off so much, which again, was such a surprise. I didn't expect it to throw me off so much. I thought it'd be amazing, but my body had connected so much to that business for security. So even though we were totally financially secure, I was still so nervous. So anyway, so it took me months because of how I saw that problem to find safety again, which logically makes no sense. No sense. My husband was so thrilled for the change. It was ultimately a really good scenario, but all I could see was, this is a problem. I don't want this to happen right now. This isn't my timing. This isn't supposed to happen when we're on a 6-month vacation around the world. But now I can see it's the best thing that could have ever happened. It was a 10 out of 10, which is one of the reasons that I've been so obsessed with this 10 out of 10 concept lately. And this concept of it doesn't get better than this, because of what I have learned through many experiences over the last 18 months. So I wish I'd been able to apply it back then. I had been able to apply it to parenting and to my marriage for years, both of which I was terrible at in the beginning, and things have turned around and it's magical. My relationship with my kids, with my husband, amazing. But this whole shift with the business stuff really threw me off. We can master the skill of this in certain areas, but not in other areas. So when this new situation came up, I was in full nervous system takeover and fear and problem detecting mode. I was finding problems where there were no problems. But this is why I love this journey we all get to go on. We get confronted with things that answer the desires of our heart. I was asking for an upgrade was asking to be able to trust more, to love more, to feel more abundant and capable. And I got it. I got a new problem. I got a new problem so I could up-level my ability to see every moment as a 10 out of 10. And I want to share the process that got me from this situation as a negative 100 out of 10, which is where my brain was going, which is why I'm now recording this podcast, because I feel like I'm ready to share. And I'm still learning. Are we ever through learning? No, thank goodness. I think we're always learning and growing. But last month, something happened that felt like the final exam, so to speak, and helped me see, yeah, I think I'm there. I think I'm a 10 out of 10. I'm so glad this whole thing happened. And that was that the final transition period was over. So my husband stayed on to help with the transition, and we're done with it. It's crazy. So I was so thrilled, proud of myself for how I felt when that period came. I was safe and excited. I felt confident, which was because of how I'm seeing the situation, not the situation. The situation hadn't changed. I had changed. A year ago, what was a scary situation full of unknown, today was an exciting situation full of unknown, which is a very, 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 very long way to bring us back to the topic of the podcast and get into the meat of it, which is that the issue isn't that we have problems. The issue is how we define them. We all have problems. We will have problems always. Problems are actually amazing. They're important. Most of us, though, have been trained to define problems in a way where we are the victim. This is happening to me. I can't handle this. This shouldn't be happening. If my life were right, this wouldn't be here. When I define my problems like that, I collapse. I want to hide in my bed. I want to scroll. I want to complain. I want someone to come rescue me. And from that place, I don't parent the way I want to. I don't lead my Connect Method parenting mission the way I want to. I don't show up for my marriage or my body the way I want to. So the question I've been sitting with is, what if the problem isn't that I have problems? What if the problem is the way I'm defining my problems? Because suffering is almost always caused by fear and also by believing strongly in the illusion of this world, of these outside situations and what we've been taught to make them all mean. So here are some of the truths that I've really settled into over this past year. Fear of the unknown is paralyzing and totally unnecessary. Only in the unknown can you find growth, freshness, and creation. That's so good. Now, it doesn't mean I don't have fear about the unknown sometimes, but I'm reminding myself that it's that fear of the unknown that's creating my stuckness, that's paralyzing me, and it doesn't have to be there. When I'm ready to let it go, I can let it go. I don't need to rush it, but I can allow myself to trust that everything's going to be okay. The known, which is the past, is already experienced. It's gone. A past moment is a moment gone, lingering only in our memory. And sometimes we keep recreating the past over and over and over and over again, sustaining it out of fear of losing it. But new growth, you all, new growth, new creation lies only in the unknown. So if we can learn to love and cherish the grit and the power of the unknown, life opens up to us. If we can choose to lean into this unknown, we are going to find ourselves traveling on a wonderful journey of exploration and growth. Calmness is the fruit of wisdom acquired over time. Calmness affords true control and precision of thought. I love those two sentences. Let me say them again. Calmness is the fruit of wisdom acquired over time, and calmness affords true control and precision of thought. What if at every moment and in every situation, I could ask myself these two questions? Is this the greatest version of the grandest vision I have ever had of myself? That's the first one. Isn't that so good? Is this the greatest version of the grandest vision I have ever had of myself? Oh, so good. And it's not a question to find my flaws or my weaknesses. It's a question to explore with curiosity and compassion where I'm still limiting myself, where I still don't believe in my capacity, or I still don't receive all the love and goodness being offered to me out there in the world. Like, is this the greatest version of the grandest vision I've ever had of myself? I love that question. And I try to ask it of myself often, very, very often. And the second question is, what would love do? The next thing that I have loved doing over the last year plus is being willing to suspend everything I know and question everything and rule nothing out. When I allow myself to believe there might be a third or fourth or fifth option that I haven't considered yet, maybe I don't even know what that could even be, I find more options, because I believe you can't discover new things until you stop telling those new things what you think they should be. So I'm going to dream big and then also keep my options way open, because I believe we're always creating new things in our life. And if I can release the reins, I can let them tell me what they are, what those new things are. I can be surprised by what happened in my life. So as you can tell, I've been thinking a lot about this idea of high quality problems and low quality problems. A low quality problem is defined in a way that makes you a victim, keeps you stuck, doesn't grow you. It sounds like I'm failing at everything, or I'm too old, or I'm broken. Something is wrong with me, or something's wrong with my child. My marriage is hopeless. I'm bad with money. I should never have let it get this far. And these problems may be true. They for sure feel true a lot of the times, but they don't open anything up. They're like emotional dead ends. So a high quality problem, in the way I like to define it, is a problem that keeps you as the hero. It invites you to grow, and it points you towards something that you can influence. So it sounds more like I'm in a season of big recalibration, and I'm learning how I want to work and contribute in this next chapter of my life. Or my body is changing, and I'm learning how to support it with wisdom and care and compassion. Or my child's nervous system is overwhelmed, and I'm learning how to be a safe and steady presence when they're having big emotions, when I'm figuring out what to do. Or we're in a financial transition, and I'm learning how to create value in new ways. Or our family is shifting from little kids to big kids and adults, and I'm figuring out what kind of mom I want to be now. So same life, same quote unquote problem, same circumstances, totally different quality of problems. One version shrinks you and one version grows you. So let me walk you through how I'm playing with this concept in my actual life right now. So I've gone on and on about the business switch up with my husband, and here's my low quality version of the problem. We're unstable. We don't know what we're going to do now. I should have already figured this out. I might mess something up. This is all too much. When I think of it that way, I feel anxious. I feel small. I feel powerless. I feel behind. And my action is usually to spin in indecision or to try to do everything and then burn out. But the high quality version of the same problem is we're in a season of entrepreneurship 2.0. We get to create something new. We're experimenting with how we want to work and serve and make money as a family. I'm being invited to reimagine connect method parenting in a way that feels more aligned, more sustainable, more serviceable to the people who want to learn with me, a deeply powerful way of delivering it in this next year. That feels totally different in my body. Now, my problem becomes, how do I create simple, powerful offers with Connect Method Parenting that serve deeply? Or how do I build a business with my husband that's exciting for both of us to be a part of, and maybe our kids to be a part of? How do I let Connect Method Parenting evolve? I get to change things up if I want to. That's some high quality business problems. I love it. And it doesn't magically fix all the things that my brain thinks are broken, but it puts me back in the story as a creator, not as a victim. And oftentimes I can see how things are actually really good, but I was trying to make them really bad, even though there was a lot of evidence that everything's completely fine. So let's talk about the fact that my kids are all growing up and what my brain wants to make that mean, because it unattended, unlooked at, if I just let it run wild back in its heyday, it would have made it mean everything's changing too fast. I'm losing my kiddos. I didn't do enough. I did too much. I should have enjoyed my time more. I didn't know what I was doing. I should have waited longer to have kids so I could have been a better parent, on and on and on, right? I don't know what I'm going to do now that my kids are gone. If I stay there and I cling tightly to the past or emotionally check out, that's a problem. That's what a low quality problem does for me. But the high quality problem is our family is in a totally new season. My problem is, how do I reinvent motherhood for this stage? How do I shift from the mom who helped them and gave them what they needed at a younger age to maybe more of a mentor? How do I celebrate who they're becoming while honoring my own grief and disorientation? Now the juicy problem is I get to learn how to mom adults even better. I get to ask, what does connection look like when they don't live under my roof? I get to practice loving and letting everything else go. And that's beautiful. And also, yeah, it makes me cry in the car sometimes. Both can be true. And then midlife, I was talking about how I'm going to be 50 in a couple of years and I can tell things are changing. And my friends are saying, okay, hormone replacement is the way to go. I can feel my body changing. It doesn't bounce back the same way it used to. Sleep is different. Energy might be a little different. I've had wrinkles and gray hair for a while, but I'm getting more of those. And that feeling of, wait, when did I become this age? So if that was framed up as a low quality problem, it'd be, I'm falling apart. I'm getting older. I'm behind. I haven't taken care of myself. My best years are over. But the high quality version that I'm leaning into is my body is asking for new kinds of support and wisdom. I'm in a season of re-choosing how I want to live, how to work, how I want to take care of myself. So my problem is, how do I age consciously, kindly, and with a deep sense of self-respect? And that leads me to such better questions. So what does my body need today? Which resources and studies and helpful exercise and supplements, all that kind of stuff feel helpful? How do I care for myself with the same tenderness I tell all y'all to tend to your kids? And again, this is a process. I'm diving into so many things. I'm appreciating and enjoying the deep dive so much because I am able to shift into this high quality problem state and think, okay, this is not an issue that my kids are growing up. This is what I want. I want to age. How do I value all of this? What do I value now? What do I want to be doing in this next chapter of my life? Those are high quality problems. Okay, now let's sprinkle in some parenting without making this a your kids are the problem episode. But how do we make all of the problems that we think we're having with our kids high quality problems? So when your child screams, maybe I hate you, or they don't want to put their shoes on, or they roll their eyes at you, or they melt down at bedtime, or they stare at you blankly, stone-faced when you ask them a question, your brain by default will instantly want to label that as a problem. But again, the definitions matter. Low quality parenting problems sound like my child is disrespectful. They never listen. Something's wrong with them. Something's wrong with me. I'm a terrible parent. We're doomed. High quality parenting problems will sound like this. My child's behavior is communication, and I'm learning how to interpret what their nervous system is saying to me. Or our problem right now is, how do we create an evening routine that works with their brain and my bandwidth? Or maybe something like, I'm learning how to stay connected when my child is overwhelmed instead of taking it personally. Can you feel the difference? I can feel the difference. Same meltdown, same attitude, same messy bedroom, totally different energy. And from that high quality problem, then you can do parenting the connected way. You can use your CMP tools and they become usable. So you remember, okay, that's right, connection first. I'm going to lean in. I'm going to understand what's going on. I'm going to establish a working relationship. You remember behavior is communication. You remember that they're not giving you a hard time. They're having a hard time. And instead of, I have a disrespectful child, your problem becomes, how do I stay rooted and kind and compassionate in the presence of their big, huge emotions? And that's a problem worth having. It will grow you. Now, I want you to pause and make this really practical right now. Now, if you're driving, don't do this. But if you aren't driving and you can write this down, I highly recommend it. Question 1, what is your main problem right now? Don't pretty it up. Don't try to be enlightened. Just let it come out the way your brain actually says it. Maybe it's, I don't know what to do next. I'm drowning in motherhood. We don't have enough money. My kids are struggling and I don't know how to help them. I hate my job. I feel lonely. Got it? Something like that. So pause if you need to and write down what your brain says is your biggest problem right now. unfiltered, raw, uncensored. Now, when you're ready, question 2 is, if that's the low quality version, how would you redefine it as a high quality problem? So some frameworks you could play around with is something like, I'm in a season of blank and I'm learning how to blank. Or I've been invited into a masterclass on patience or regulation, and I'm just at the beginning. I just started. So for example, I'm in a season of financial constriction and I'm learning how to create and steward money with more intention. Or I'm in a season of intense parenting and I'm learning how to regulate myself while my kids' brains grow. Or I'm in a season of career transition and I'm learning what I truly value and what I want to contribute and what I want to do with my life. This is how you get to choose your problem and make it a high quality problem. You are choosing a definition that puts you back into the story as the hero, not as the victim. And you're not lying to yourself. You're not sugarcoating it. You're being productive. You're making a difference in your life. You're growing. So here's another question I've been sitting with is, what do I want my biggest problem to be? If I let my survival brain have the microphone, my biggest problems are, what if we run out of money? What if I ruin my kids? What if I mess up connect method parenting? What if I make the wrong health choice? What if people don't like this new version of me? Super fun thought, right? Super fun party in my brain when I'm circulating those thoughts. But when I consciously choose what I want my biggest problem to be, it sounds more like this. How can I love the people in my life even more deeply? How can I contribute the most powerful work I'm capable of while staying anchored to my family? How can I design a business that truly serves moms I'm meant to help? How can I honor my body and my nervous system as I age? How can I stay open-hearted through all of this change? Those are still problems. They still require thought and time and action and courage, but they're high quality problems. So here's your next reflection. Question 3 is, what do you want your top 3 problems to be for the next few months? Seriously, write them out. My biggest problem this quarter is blank. My second biggest problem is blank. My third biggest problem is, and fill it in and make them high quality on purpose. So maybe it sounds something like, my biggest problem this quarter is learning how to truly rest without guilt. My second biggest problem is learning how to listen to my kids with curiosity instead of defensiveness. My third biggest problem is to figure out what I want my work to look like in this new season of my life. Now, when your brain tries to drag you into low quality problems like, I look terrible in these jeans, no one appreciates me, you say, oh, no, that's not one of my problems. I'm not using my energy there today. And you shift. Another really helpful thing I'm practicing is that some problems are only problems because I decide they were problems. I decided this is a problem and I can undecide that. So for example, other drivers on the road when it's snowing. That is a problem that my brain has decided is a problem, but doesn't have to be a problem. People's opinions of me, whether my house looks like a magazine, whether my children live close or far, whether everyone approves of our Christmas decisions of how we're going to celebrate. I could make those my problems. I used to, honestly, truly made those big problems. But now I'm experimenting with, that's not my problem. I don't need to worry about that. That's not what I'm focusing on solving right now. Not in a cold, detached way, in a very loving, clean boundary way. So when I think about people driving in the snow and I'm worried about it, I'm like, okay, I can't worry about that because that's not my problem. I can just worry about how I drive on the road. So that's not my problem. Or what other people think of me, not my problem. I know it's easier said than done, but it's so fun to practice and see how willing or hesitant my brain is. And when I am consciously playing around with this, my problem is always how I show up, what I want to believe, how I want to love, what I want to create. This doesn't mean I don't care about all those other things. It just means I'm not giving my power away to unsolvable, low quality problems. So you could try this with your kids' behavior. Instead of my child is the problem, try my problem is how do I stay regulated and connected in the presence of their behavior. So now the child's behavior is no longer a problem. They're a person and they have behavior and I get to help them work through it. It feels so much better. It feels so much better. Let me summarize where I'm landing with all of this in my very real, very alive, very messy human life. 1, And this is a reminder. I've gotten this before, but it's sunken even deeper the last year and a half. Problems are not a sign that something has gone wrong. They're a sign I'm alive, growing, and in motion. That has just been so powerful for me to think about, to write about, to meditate on. Problems are awesome. They mean everything is working. Number 2, my brain is always going to find problems. So my job is to define those problems in a way that serves me and my family. 3 is that high quality problems grow me. Period. The end. Always is the case. I've never found this not to be the case. Low quality problems drain me. High quality problems grow me, and I get to choose where I put my attention. 4, I can be in transition and still be okay. So I don't need to have all the answers to everything. I don't need to know what I'm going to do about my hormones or my parents' health or my CMP group or anything. I can be in transition, and it's okay. It's safe to be in transition. 5, in parenting, my child is never the problem. This has been so powerful for me over the last 20 years, and I'm just seeing it in a new light, in a deeper way, that the problem is always an opportunity to see them more clearly, to understand their nervous system more, and to build connection. 6 is that I'm allowed to let some problems go. I don't have to solve all of the problems that my brain presents to me. I don't have to solve how everyone feels about my choices. I don't have to fix other people's discomfort. I don't have to control anything that's not controllable. And 7, this season can be my becoming. So instead of I'm barely surviving all of this, I have been working on, and I feel like I'm really owning this belief that this is the chapter in my life where I get to become more of myself than ever. And I really feel that. So before we wrap up, I want to leave you with a few journaling questions that you can take into your day, your walk, your shower, your carpool line, answer that I believe will make a huge difference in your life. So first one is, what is the main problem my brain is obsessed with right now? And how am I currently defining it? 2, if that's the low quality version, what would the high quality version of this problem sound like? 3, what do I want my top 3 problems to be this quarter? And how can I define them so they grow me? 4, where am I making my child the problem? How can I redefine that as my problem is how I want to show up as their parent? And finally, number 5, is there a problem I can just release today? Something I actually don't want to spend my life force energy solving. My suggestion is that you go through those 5 questions and you answer them and you sit with them for a few minutes. If you're in one of the groups that I'm working with right now inside of my CMP groups, either Mastery or Pivot, come to our next meeting and tell me what your answers are. I would love to hear them, or email me them. But regardless, write down your answers, or maybe do a voice note about them. Think about it while you fold your laundry. Just one shift in how you define a problem can ripple through your whole life. So yes, there is a ton going on in my life right now. I'm guessing there's a ton going on in your life right now. And if I let my brain think about these things in a low quality problem framework, it'll say this is too much, and these problems are things you shouldn't have to handle or can't handle. But when I choose to come back to high quality problems, I think of them like this. These are amazing problems I get to solve. I get to learn. I get to grow through them. I'm the woman for this life. I can learn what I need to learn. I can feel what I need to feel. I can love the people I'm meant to love in the middle of all of this. And so can you. So thank you for spending this time with me today. I know your life's crazy busy. If this episode helped you see your problems in a new light, share it with a friend, or leave a review for this podcast, or just keep it in your heart the next time your brain starts yelling, "This is a disaster. You can't handle this," so that you can gently whisper back, Nope, I can handle this. I'm going to figure out the high quality problem version of this where I'm the hero of the story. All right, you all, I will talk to you next time. We'll see you later, my friends. I love you all. Go connect with your kids and have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye. If you enjoyed listening to this podcast, come check out my Connect Method Parenting Coaching Program, where we take this material and we apply it using my proven formula. Head over to cmp.works/join.